The Voice has gotten quite intense at some points over the years, and nobody should know that better than Adam Levine. The OG coach returned for season 27, currently airing on the 2025 TV schedule, and given the fact that he's been involved in some of the show's most controversial moments, I found it absolutely hilarious when he said in an interview that he doesn't see The Voice as a competition. Well, here we are, just 2 episodes into the season, and it seems Michael Bublé may have just proved him right. What Adam Levine said about The Voice not being a competition show. Fans were happy to see Adam Levine return to join veteran John Legend, defending champion Michael Bublé, and rookie Kelsey Ballerini on The Voice coaching panel this season. And maybe it's the fact that his old rival Blake Shelton has long since retired his big red chair. But the Maroon 5 singer seemed to have a more brotherly approach to coaching, as he told people ahead of season 27. "I don't really see it as a competition anymore, and I know they're not going to like that, but that's not what it is. It's an opportunity for us to share our experiences with the people on the show, and it always has been that. I have to say, I kind of love the new attitude where it's less about winning and more about making the most of the artist's experience. I mean, you definitely get competitive, that those juices flow for sure. But I don't see it as a competition, and I don't think that I can bring anything other than what I have just from life and a career. And I think that's really valuable for the people on the show that are needing that experience, or that push, that help. And that's what I think we're there for. I'm definitely all for that, because it's true that it's not just the artist who wins the money at the end that has the chance to capitalize on this experience. Excuse my skepticism though, but this kinder, gentler Adam Levine was something I had to see to believe. It didn't take long either, thanks to the panel's Canadian crooner. When Adam Levine, the legendary vocalist of Maroon 5 and the inaugural coach on The Voice, made the now famous statement that The Voice isn't a competition show, I, along with a lot of other people, laughed it off. The idea seemed ridiculous to me. The show that advertised itself as a competition could not possibly be anything other than a competition. At the end of the day, there are candidates who fight tooth and nail for the opportunity to sign record deals, win the coveted title, and most importantly, grab the top prize of a record contract. This is something that happens every season. In what way could Levine possibly argue that The Voice was not, at its core, about competition? Levine was speaking as a coach who saw things from the standpoint of someone who wanted to foster and guide talent, not just reduce it to a weekly elimination game. I understood his stance to some degree. After all, Levine was speaking as a coach. Nevertheless, it seemed like a reach to assert that the event was not about competitiveness, regardless of the circumstances. When I tried to disentangle The Voice from its framework, which included teams, elimination rounds, and public voting, I found it difficult to do so. All of these elements shouted competition in the most straightforward sense. The drama, the rivalries, and the nearly continual question of who will win all seemed to be inextricably linked to the very concept of a competition all at the same time. However, after that, something took place. It was Michael Bublé, the crooner with a smooth voice and the beloved vocalist, who demonstrated that Adam Levine was correct. Prior to delving into the specifics of how Bublé accomplished this, let us take a moment to comprehend the possible meaning that Adam Levine intended to convey with his initial statement. In an interview, Levine emphasized that, in his opinion, the show was not about determining a single victor who would triumph and take everything home with them. In spite of the fact that some of the candidates did not end up winning the trophy, the competition was about discovering genuine potential and assisting those individuals in developing into great artists. He went on to add that he placed the development of the competitors above all else, and that The Voice was not only about winning. Rather, it was about providing people with a stage on which they could exhibit their abilities and challenge themselves in ways that they had not done since they began participating in the competition. My initial reaction was to disregard this viewpoint as being very utopian and rather unrealistic. It was true that it sounded wonderful, but wasn't the primary purpose of The Voice to compete for the title of The Voice? Is it not true that the framework of the show was constructed on the presumption that one individual would ultimately triumph over the others? By its very definition, competition entails the existence of a victor and a loser. It was the deciding factor in the show's structure as a whole. What gives Levine the right to say that? Afterward, Michael Bublé appeared. When it comes to reality television, there are few things that stand out more than the moment when an artist who is no longer in need of a competition takes part in one. It is not necessary for Michael Bublé to win The Voice in order to demonstrate his worth, because he is a well-known figure in the world of jazz and pop music, has won a number of prizes, and has sold millions of CDs. Nevertheless, there he was, sitting in a chair next to Kelly Clarkson, Blake Shelton, and John Legend, coaching participants on a show that, despite its heart and goal, is still oriented on competition. He was coaching contestants. The audience experienced a moment of increased self-awareness when Bublé became a part of the organization. Because of his appearance, everyone who was watching was reminded that The Voice is, in spite of the fact that it makes claims to the contrary, a competition in its most basic form. There is no doubting that people continue to watch the show in order to find out who will emerge victorious, and the concept of competing is still emphasized in each and every episode. The spirit that Bublé brought to the table, however, was not one of cutthroat competition. Rather, he displayed something that was significantly more significant, an emphasis on artistic expression. The performance that Michael Bublé gave in his role on the show was one of a kind. In no way did he treat the candidates as if they were potential winners or losers. He dealt with them as if they were artists, recognizing that they were talented individuals who deserved respect and care regardless of where they stood in the competition. Rather than being concerned with the particulars of who would ultimately emerge winner, he was more interested in assisting them in honing their skill, which was something that went beyond the artificial aspects of competition. Neither did Bublé try to bring attention to himself, nor did he foster a spirit of competition among his peers. As an alternative, he ended up becoming a guide, a mentor, and a listener. Adam Levine had initially described his method as being nurturing, growth-focused, and emotionally intelligent. His approach was more similar to what he had described, in sharp contrast to the more typical competitive intensity that frequently drives the drama on The Voice. This was a very different experience. Throughout the course of the season, it became increasingly apparent that Bublé was not interested in adhering to the standard rules of The Voice. The game of attempting to outdo other coaches was not something he participated in, nor did he concentrate on the battle that exists between the teams. Instead, it was his responsibility to elevate the candidates, making it possible for them to grow by providing them with the resources necessary to do so. After observing the manner in which Bublé coaches, I started to get Adam Levine's point of view more completely. What The Voice has become is less about the competition itself and more about the possibility for growth. This is the new focus of the show. The concept that it is not just about who wins, but about how each individual develops as an artist, has been the foundation upon which the show has chosen to build its brand. In addition, the presence of Michael Bublé on the show was a significant factor in bringing that idea to life in a manner that cannot be refuted. It was impossible to deny how different Bublé's attitude was from the typical competitive intensity that The Voice tends to generate. In fact, it was impossible to ignore how different it was. Regardless of whether or not they advanced to the final round, the candidates were not only engaged in the pursuit of the top spot, they were also engaged in the pursuit of improving their craft. As a result, the competition took a backseat to the more important objective, which was the cultivation of the artistic abilities of each individual. The fundamental worth of The Voice is not in the question of who will win, but rather in the question of how can we help these contestants become the best versions of themselves. Michael Bublé demonstrated that this is the case. As the focus switched away from the competition, the intrinsic truth that was present in Adam Levine's initial opinion became apparent at that moment. The presence of Bublé provided further evidence to support Levine's contention that the primary objective of The Voice is to cultivate, direct, and elevate talent, and that, in and of itself, is a more significant goal than merely announcing the victor of their competition. Being able to notice the shift in perspective that Bublé's participation brought to the event is something that I am unable to avoid doing when I reflect on this. What at first appeared to be a dismissive comment made by Levine now appears to be prescient. The Voice is not simply a competition, rather, it is a stage for talent development, discovery, and most importantly, artistic expression. And despite the fact that the program will always have a competitive element, the essence of it resides in its capacity to transform the candidates rather than simply selecting the winner. Because of his genuineness and his artistic ability, Michael Bublé made it hard to refuse to acknowledge the fact. In conclusion, I am going to have to eat my words. Everything that Adam Levine said was correct. It is not about winning that is the true spirit of The Voice. Rather, it is about the journey, the growth, and the opportunity for artists to manifest themselves through their performances. That was just demonstrated by Michael Bublé in the most sophisticated manner imaginable. How Michael Bublé helped to prove Adam Levine right. On night 2 of the blind auditions, which aired February 10, Hayden Grove took the stage for a rendition of Mac the Knife, a song clearly in Michael Bublé's wheelhouse. It turns out Bublé has even crossed paths with Grove in real life and followed him on social media. But by the end of the audition, only Adam Levine had turned around. The winning season 26 coach explained that Hayden Grove's vibrato had given him pause, and Michael Bublé even got on stage to demonstrate how standards are traditionally sung. Even though Grove was joining an opposing team, Bublé expressed interest in bettering the artist, telling Adam Levine, "CINEMABLEND need you as letter. My point is this, you're gonna help him. I know he's on your team and he's gonna dominate, but I'm gonna help you to help him because he has everything it takes." Adam Levine, for his part, welcomed the offer, telling his new team member, "I love that. I don't have the knowledge about the song that you sang that he has, but a great voice is a great voice is a great voice. It doesn't matter. We're gonna have a blast." The coach's focus in this instance was purely on what was best for Hayden Grove, not which one of them would take credit for the win. Although I'd be down for some kind of Team Levine. Team Adam. You can watch the audition in its entirety below. All of this talk about the coaches helping each other out doesn't mean The Voice has become one big come-by-a love fest, though. Michael Bublé executed a brutal block against Kelsey Ballerini to secure country artist Braxton Garza for himself, and Adam Levine closed out the episode by winning this third of 4 4-chair turns and relishing how good it felt to beat his fellow coaches. That's more like the Adam Levine I'm used to. New episodes of The Voice air at 8 p.m. ET Mondays on NBC. Heidi Venable is a content producer for Cinema Blend, a mom of 2 and a hardcore 90s kid. She started freelancing for Cinema Blend in 2020 and officially came on board in 2021. Her job entails writing news stories and TV reactions from some of her favorite primetime shows like Grey's Anatomy and The Bachelor. She graduated from Louisiana Tech University with a degree in journalism and worked in the newspaper industry for almost 2 decades in multiple roles, including sports editor, page designer, and online editor. Unprovoked will quote friends in any situation. Thrives on New Orleans Saints football, the West Wing, and taco trucks.